Amanda, I was just telling Sheila in a quick introduction for that, I think for an hour and a half tomorrow, that saw Ken, the co-founder, executive director of North Star in Western Mass.
Okay.
And I went to school. North Star exists to help school kids quit school and become unschooling people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a physical center, it's a place, it's like a YMCA club, right? With classes and tutoring, and we turn nobody away from money or being a hard case. So anybody who's miserable in school, we say, here's how you can stop going to school and come hang out with us, right? And now we have a whole slew of centers modeled after us, including True North in Collinsville, Connecticut, and Beacon in New Haven.
Okay. And visited Josiah down at Lighthouse.
Right, Lighthouse, you know Josiah?
Yeah.
How do you know Josiah?
Kind of the same way I know you, I just sent him an email. I was part of the Valley Venture Mentors program in Springfield. I don't know if you know those guys. It's like a entrepreneur mentorship group, and they pointed me to you and to Josiah.
And so Josiah's co-founder, Catherine,
Yeah.
DeBron, was part of North Star for 12 years, you know, and a key part of our growth. So, and she wanted to start her own project in Holyoke. So it's similar, but independent, right? So there's about a dozen centers around the country now, and so the mission of our centers is to help ordinary people who are in school stop going to school and embark on independent learning, right? And I offered, I said I could bring alumni, grown-up alumni, to find the New York-based, because we've been, this is year 21, there's 35-year-olds around. That would be more fun for me to have alumni talk to you guys. But anyway, we had a whole list of things that maybe I know more about or thought, maybe not know more about, but thought about, besides alumni talk panels and North Star, and the one that Anne thought was appealing was this conversation about what can we do about compulsory schooling, right? And so, all right, Sheila, just for introduction, so you know each other, because you don't know, do you know each other?
We're in the panel.
Yeah.
All right. So you're a third generation. Well, you homeschool your kids and now your grandkids.
My kids were unschoolers, and now my grandkids are.
So I didn't really know what to picture here, and I didn't want to bring the whole slideshow on the computer and take 15 minutes. But I think about this stuff a lot, and I know Jim thinks about it a lot too, and so we'll just, I can certainly talk for an hour and a half straight, but I'm not going to. I'll talk for 5 more minutes, and then we'll see what we think. And what I'm trying to imagine when it comes to this topic is, what's the simplest way to improve everybody's life? Simplest, most economical, most practical, most powerful way to change the lives of the kids that I felt I was tormenting in public school as a teacher, or perhaps, my life as a teen when I went to, or as a child I went to public school all the way through and liked it well enough. I didn't know enough to, I hated some teachers, but I liked school. I went straight to college, and it didn't occur to me it was public school or private school. There wasn't a thing to discuss back then. But now it feels like, as a teacher, at first I thought the problem was money, class sizes and resources. I also thought the problem was curriculum, and I certainly think the problem is testing and corruption and that. But, along the way of my teaching career, which is now 25 years ago, it occurred to me that the biggest problem was none of those things. It was actually a compulsory audience. These same moron kids in my class run around town, and they go to movie theaters they want to go to, and they go to the mall, and they function in restaurants, and they go about life okay. And, you go to the stadium, and, 50,000 people can go in and out of Fenway, or 40, whatever Fenway Park holds, and the Patriots games, and people there's not chaos and anarchy. We all live together quite well in society, and we don't have adults supervising everybody everywhere they go to gatekeep it. Normal human beings in a reasonable society get along quite well, and actually teens do too, most of the time, in most places. And that we can have 102 kids in a class here, you know, they go to lectures and movies and stuff. It's not a sheer number. It's just that they don't want to be there, and so then it creates this cascade of difficulties, right? And telling people, you know, I really felt when I was in Prince George's County, Maryland, there were a lot of times where I really wanted to say to kids, you know, I wish you didn't have to be here. You know, you don't want to be in my history class. I like what I teach, but I wish you could just go mind your own business in the library or down the hall or go to the art room or leave the building and go sit outside or
So the people who want to hear what you have to say are the ones who are there.
Right. So
I taught Chicopee for a little bit, and I used to tell the kids, they'd say, do we have to do this? I'm like, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do anything. You don't even have to, like, I just tell them exactly what it is. Well, you don't have to do this homework assignment. I'm like, you don't have to. This is one homework assignment out of 50 that you get. And I'm like, I don't even like the idea that you have to do homework. I don't think you should have to do homework. It's like bad enough you're forced to be here and you're going to be forced to do work at home. And say one assignment out of 50 in one class, many years, like, this is not that significant, and you get to choose. You know, and they'd even tell them, like, you don't have to be here. You know? They said, what do we do then if we don't come here?
I mean, as a
Well,
teacher,
you have to be here, or they'll get in trouble.
Right? I would say this is the reason, you know, you can get in trouble for it, but no one's.
And I think
So
you think
you don't
about
have
it,
to,
because
right,
maybe
and
there's
so,
20
but
lines for truancy.
but
Is
then
there really?
we want to. There's nothing else like school though that you get in trouble for not going. Like in the 1600s, there was a church, right? You know, it was Puritans and their different churches. But you know, in modern society, people aren't required to go anywhere else and be there for anything else.
Person.
And so, as a birthright, you're from 6 to 17 years old, right?
Draft, yeah.
So they don't have a military draft.
Not currently, no.
Well, my whole lifetime, I never had to go to the military.
I never had to do that.
You were at register, right?
Yeah.
And you can take the risk of not registering and deal with those consequences, but it's too long.
Kennedy doesn't do that.
So, you know, what's with compulsory schooling? Alright? What if there weren't compulsory schooling, we could let you get rid of the people who don't want to be there, respect them, not want to get rid of them in any other way, but allow them to withdraw and go mind your own business elsewhere, and you left with the people who want to be there, but that would be really functional for everybody. What's the downside of that, right? And all the effort and time that we spend at school taking attendance and trying to catch the cutters and all that stuff, right?
All the administrative stuff that it takes
You know what?
so much time.
Just did away with all that, right? And said, you know, here's what we have to offer, take care of it. You know, you don't have, people don't have to have a library card, use the library. People don't have to use every community resource that exists. If we had the schools, well, it just seems to me that flipping that one school law, compulsory schooling law, would be a huge social benefit compared to like changing all schools or all the education reform crap I was learning in other places, and other fighting for youth rights, some kind of stuff that we can imagine doing. But just say you don't have to be here and you won't get in trouble if you don't come, right? And there's a few other things that have to go with that, but they're all pretty simple in my mind. And so and it occurs to me that most of us, when we talk about things that we love learning or places we love going, or places that are really meaningful to us, a handful, it's smattering of people will pick something that happened in a compulsory schooling environment, but most of us will pick our top 10 events from other places that were voluntary and other groups and situations, right? And, maybe the school isn't all it's cracked up to be, And so it occurs to me that before we can talk about stopping compulsory schooling, we're dealing with what we think are the purpose, or who's getting what from it, right? What the current society, who wants it to be compulsory? What's it serving, right? And
I think in some ways there's a babysitting issue. That it plays the role of sort of a babysitting thing. These kids might theoretically be out causing trouble if they're not in school. How are they ever going to get. How will they ever get a job one day?
Well, but
They don't go to school.
younger than that though too, it alleviates the need to pay for childcare for a lot of
Place takes the position that I guess the parent is maybe supposed to be taking, and if both parents are working these days, and watch the
I know
kids.
in Canada, a woman, a single mother, I can work a full-time job to pay for their kids. Literally. So what's the point?
Yeah.
Right.
Then there's this odd belief that children have the right, the basic human right to be forced into school.
Now that saying, we're doing this to help you.
It's
We're
for your
forcing you
own
because
good,
we love you.
and if your parents don't force this on you, it's their interaction.
Yeah. Is it as well? I mean, there's a lot of folks that would kind of come up with the idea that it's this evil system that was designed to suppress the minds of the.
What was the second thing you
It
said?
might
I
be
missed
true.
one. After babysitting.
They'd be out there causing trouble if they're not.
No, I don't know.
Then how will they get to a job one day?
Job, that was it.
Education? Well, even if there is like the evil version of the system, there's also this like well-intentioned version that just sucks.
Keep those
We're
troublesome
doing it.
teens off the streets so they're gonna cause trouble.
Oh,
Keep them
yeah.
under control in school.
They'll just be chain smoking cigarettes on the street corner if they're not in a classroom.
And children won't learn on their own.
Fear, stealing, crime, I hear a lot of concerns in the inner cities about kids that are supposedly all criminals. That's the default,
Because
right?
they didn't go to school.
Kids will be criminals if you don't.
Yeah. I think I'm going to circle back and say that the ultimate thing we have to deal with is babysitting and daycare and a place for parents to have their kids go during the day. Except that I'm not sure why it's compulsory. If that's a need, why can't you just tell kids? Parents can tell their kids you have to go without the state telling kids they have to
It's
go.
an interesting thing too,
Right.
yeah.
The state will, people will claim that in addition to job prep, make kids learn what they need. Because no one would learn algebra otherwise. And when I meet parents and then I say, well, they don't go to school, and then well, why never read another book again, right? Or who's going to make my kid learn to figure out a table then, right? What's the making learn?
So along with job prep, I want to throw this out there that if people are required to be in school till they're 18, and that's the voting age, then one would argue that school is supposed to give you the knowledge, information to be an educated voter. I don't think that really ever comes up too often, but there is something about that 18. Like you go through school, you hit 18, you don't have to be there, now you can vote, you're a citizen, your life suddenly has a value, I guess, or you have
My
rights.
mom's argument, she worked at a prison teaching inmates so they could get their GEDs. And her argument was these kids, their parents didn't make them go to school. They didn't go to school, so they joined gangs, they did drugs, and now their brains are so fried I can't teach them to read as adults.
I was trying to run an order in my little list, but people worry that they have to be made to go someplace so that they can meet everybody else in their community and make friends. How would they make friends if they didn't have to go and other kids didn't have to go? How would they ever meet each other?
I like school because my friends are there.
Right. But if your friends were sufficient,
And we went somewhere else, we would have a much better time.
and I have not necessarily job prep, but someone needs to sort out who goes to what college and who gets which job.
Maybe trying to figure out what career you
Who's going to be the manager and who's going to be the worker, right? We need to grade people so we can sort out the winners and losers.
Or who wants to be an English person, a science person, and these types of things.
And I also have resources for hard cases and special needs. Sometimes families who just wouldn't have all the material, certain kids have real serious needs, right?
Yeah.
But these are things that school serves. I'm not sure that compulsory schooling has anything to do with any of these things, though, except for this one. If we just said, schools, come to school if you want, don't go to school if you want, or parents can choose school for their kids, right? And I think we have to, for the sake of my thought experiment, assume that if parents said their kids have to go to school and parents are signing their kids up for school, the kids would have to go or be in trouble with their parents. It wouldn't be a crime for the kid. They wouldn't be no school to prison pipeline. The state wouldn't come down on a kid for truancy, and the parents wouldn't get in trouble. But somehow, the state would, I don't know, support, acknowledge that the parent signed the kid up from school, and the kid, at least the school would call the parent and say,
That's what I was going to just ask. Yeah, are you going to get a phone call home that you didn't show up?
Yeah, well, if the parents say the kid's required to go, we can have that, informing the parent, not to punish the parent or punish the kid, but to say that, we're expecting Johnny to come today, right? Because whatever. But everything else. So is either fault. I'm not sure how to go down this whole list, but and we probably all agree that most of it is unessential or corrupted anyway right now because we're all in a furious conference. But when I'm thinking about non-compulsory school, I'm thinking of it from when I do these conferences, there's two angles that people come to it. One is they want compulsory schooling also leads to an all or nothing thing. So a lot of times the unschooling and homeschooling wish that schools would allow kids to come for part-time schooling, which is not really what I'm thinking about right now. And now at this conference, there's that many people who are interested in that sort of thing, right? People would be happy creating their own learning experiences elsewhere.
I think that the building, having a building, like North Star, right? It's cool to have a building.
Yep.
It's good that there's, when I've thought about these things of to get a North Star, you gotta have a building, you gotta line a lot of things up. You had to do a hell of a lot of work to start North Star.
Right.
There's some places where there's infrastructure that already exists, which is useful, like a building and transportation, and teachers are useful, not to necessarily teach everything, but there's things that are good about it.
Right.
That are assets that would be great to leverage.
So when I think all that stuff, and I think how hard North Star is to keep going, and we don't have all this equipment and this science lab in school and all the transportation issues, all these things are really right on target for me, right? It seems to me that if the schools would just say, fine, here's what we have to offer, take it as much as you want, take it or leave it, right? And for me, the grand solution to improving everybody's life all at once is simply for schools to say, you get 4 years of free enrollment, or 6 years if you go to grade 7 and 12, right? 6 years, free use of come here, even keep it, and just for the sake of the thought, for the moment, let it be as it is, school as it is, right? So you still have grades. I wish we could all be pass-fail.
Sure.
But and change all the English classes from 9th, 10th, 11th grade English to Shakespeare and playwriting and music lyrics and poetry, and then creative song, like community college, right? But if you made high school like a community college, and you drive everybody there and take them all home every day in the yellow bus, and you get 4 free, but when you're there, you don't have to do the stuff. So the library's there. Cafeteria is there, the front lawn is there, as long as you're not, going to the windows and making a nuisance as a result. And you take or leave as much of it as you want. At the end of the 4 years, if you do the distribution requirements, you get the traditional high school diploma. And if you don't, the school says you're a loser. You only did orchestra and cooking class, and you don't get a diploma from us. And the kid says, fine, I'll go get the GED and be done with it. And thanks very much, right? Wouldn't that solve everything?
I don't know if it would. Let's think of an individual kid, right? That having it be legal, almost makes me think of legalization of drugs and that kind of thing. Does it mean less people do drugs because you make it, I don't know if people behave the way they do purely because it's the law. And then a lot of it has to do with social expectations, parents. I think there's a lot of these other things. I don't know if it's the law. But what I do like about what you're saying is it's something tangible. That you can say, we want this, we got this thing changed. Like a specific, I like the idea that you're saying, this is a specific law, that if we change it, we will see an effect. As opposed to if we did reform, I like that you've got something concrete.
Can you imagine schools being purely voluntary for 4 years? Everything else.
My kid would go, and I'm fine
can you imagine yourself as a teen back in the day?
I didn't go to school, I was pregnant at home.
So did you face conflict or stress because everybody was trying to
My
make it?
entire life's been stressful up until then.
Or would it have been somehow less stressful maybe? I don't know.
I would have loved it.
I think it's a big piece of this.
And so there's some underlying things that I know that you know that aren't secrets, but that the masses don't necessarily know. If you don't go to high school and opt out of high school altogether, whether it's because you're pregnant or because you don't like it, and you want to go to college, you often can very easily. You can certainly start with community colleges in the United States. If you need to get a GED because you want to do the military or Peace Corps or some other thing like that, or it's a state university that's not a community college, you can go get your GED and be done with it at 16 years old in most states. And so you don't need the high school diploma to go on to anything. Right? The high school the diploma doesn't open any doors that aren't already open to you. We know that, most people don't know that, right? So that's terrifying. But if you say, school is going to be a resource like a library. When you go to the library, you can use the computer, you can take out books, you can read the newspapers, you can take out videos, you can go in once a week, you can go in every day, you can go in once a month. If for school, the way that I'm thinking of it, you wouldn't go to school once a week or once a month. If you go, you go and do it by they would have their expectations. And you either get the credits or not, and if you miss too many, you need to go away. Don't be a nuisance to an adult book group. You don't live, or in a chorus or in a play. If you're in a thing, you're in a thing. If you're not in a thing, don't be halfway, right? Either just don't do it. There's no penalty for withdrawing, so if it's not working for you, don't go, but don't be a nuisance. So if the school can just acknowledge the truth, that's true, right? And just said, okay, anybody who doesn't really like it here and isn't doing our distribution requirements, we print out the list of things you did do and the grades you got in them and the GPA you have for them, sure. Or maybe we'd even change that around too if we really want to go idealistic on ourselves. But we'll print out your list of the stuff you did do, and that's all you get from us. A paltry list of nonsense, right?
One thing I like about this is this, what I've heard is that schools get money from the government based on how many students enroll. So suddenly now, the school would have an incentive to make school something that kids want to come to, because if everyone leaves, then they don't get any funding. So there's something powerful there.
That would be very powerful, right? That's also an impediment to this being implemented, right? Because, I'm trying to get away from buying. I'm trying to imagine something that can happen in my lifetime, and so I don't know if we can rescind compulsory schooling law in my lifetime.
So what's North Star focus on then? Like, is this kind of the premise of that building and system, or? North Star
is intended to be a sufficient resource for anybody to file to become a homeschooler.
So they physically go and do activities on site and that sort of thing?
They can, yeah. North Star is a physical building on a bus line that's open 4 days a week with little groups, book groups, and history groups, and rock bands, and yoga, and all kinds of stuff. Nice people, advisors. Every kid has an advisor.
And you give marks and completion marks, or
no
check
marks, no none,
or...
zero. No credits, no grades, no
So
diplomas.
does that state network require any reporting of any sort for homeschoolers, or are they in charge of that themselves?
We coach families through that process,
Okay.
but it's very trivial.
Yeah.
And then in the end, the kids who want a diploma will get a GED. And most of our kids go to college. They get started at 15, 16, 17 with community college and auditing in the private schools. The ones who want to work are getting jobs, obviously, like normal human beings. And the ones who want to travel and do that. And there's no reason to stay at North Star any longer than you want if you're 16 or 17 or 18. Though if you want, you can stay till you're 18, going to 19 when we throw them out the door and say, stop it, you're grown up. Stop coming here, you're 19 years old, right? And it's a social scene of 70 kids, right? Most of whom would not, if it weren't for North Star, the first assumption is that most of them would be in school managing like bored, normal, regular kids who were just waiting to be 18 to go on with their lives. A handful of them would have been kids with such anxiety, depression, mental health woes that they would have been in therapeutic situations and imploded. A few of them were such angry, resisting refusing kids who won't go and who can't make me and get suspended, that they would have been in, trouble.
You don't think they would have homeschooled on their own?
A very, very few. I'm talking about 10%. And even the ones, very few would have discovered homeschooling on their own, and even the ones who were previously homeschooling before they joined North Star, the vast majority of them might have stopped without North Star, because at 14 years old, the homeschooling co-ops implode and everybody else is going to school, right? Who's going to stay with it? A handful of people will, but minority. And even those, but the mission of North Star was never to help homeschooling and unschooling families sustain that through the teen years. The mission was always to help school kids get out, right? So what do you have to help school kids get out? But I would rather, there's no money coming from the state with it. We're not a charter school, we're not a school. We're not going to give diplomas.
So where's the income?
What?
Where's the financial side to keep
People
running?
pay, but we turn nobody away. So
Or donation sort of side of things?
we have fundraising. So we get about 2/3 of our money from fees from families, which range from the
You
full
have
fees.
income?
Yeah, well, it's if you full time for the year, it's $7,500 a year. Part time is $5,500, and one day a week is $3,000 a year. But we have about $125,000 in fee reductions for people who can't afford those numbers and never turn anybody away. 20 years. So we get as much money as we can from the families, and then we have fundraisers and special events that we're doing to try to raise another $100 grand. And then it's a low budget operation. People are modestly paid, and it's all very tight, right? So you see the big school down the road, and you're like, well, the thing North Star is quite a long way around to help the school kids not go to school. Wouldn't it be better if school kids just could not go to school at school?
So you need to do this presentation to your representatives.
Wouldn't it be a hell of a lot simpler, right? And so, the objections, of course, are along these lines. Well, if kids wouldn't learn anything, no one would ever learn algebra again in their lives, they'd run amok. As objectors, I have towards to all those things that aren't particularly original that you guys know on your own. Kids are running amok at 2:30 every day when school's out. They run amok all summer and on the weekends. School isn't 24/7.
Algebra is crap.
School kids aren't running amok. Algebra's crap. And the kids who want to learn it will learn it anyway. And if the kids want to go to Harvard and they're doing their SATs, they'll learn algebra. And you can trust the kids to deal with it. And people are getting jobs. And we don't need schools or compulsory school to sort out kids. And if we keep schools the way it is, and you give them the transcripts, that will sort them out anyway well enough. But people really object, or really are afraid that they need a place that the kids have to go to. Parents are really afraid their kids are going to run amok. Even more than the state's afraid. Parents are really afraid, right? My kid, boy, you better get out of bed and go to school, right? And don't be late, because you'll be in trouble, right? If the parents can't say that, and they just say, I need you to go to school now, and the kid says, I'm not going, parents are powerless, right?
Okay. So you have the parents playing a significant role in this thing. So right now, a kid is required to go to school, compulsory, but if the parent signs them up to be homeschooled, the kid doesn't have to go. So right now, the legal default is you're in school, a parent's participation can make that come out. So if you flip it so that the default is you don't have to go to school, but your parent can still sign you up to go, and the parent can still, I think there's still, I'm saying it's great to get rid of compulsory schooling, but I think you're fighting a gigantic battle, and it may not have the outcome that's transformation in the way that
that's true. Because I'm not sure what happens when the parents say the kid has to go to school and the kid doesn't go. Then, and where are we? But
same thing as if the kid won't go to church. That's something.
It's exactly what I'd like it to be like, right? And either just people of all religions are concerned at the slippage of youth attendees, right? I'm Jewish and people aren't going to temple, and Catholic folks are worried about,
I'd love to give kids the right to say no to their parents too, but I don't have to. But that's a different battle.
I don't know, but I'm a radical unschooler, and that's a right to say no to me. Like I believe that he has a right to say no to me. He has a right to say no to church. He has a right to say no to school.
Neighbors' kids don't have that right to say that no to their
Not
parents.
my kid.
But I wish they did.
But let's say that we gave them the right to, and the school is only simply going to inform the parent that the kid is a member, just like the church. If you sign your kid up for Sunday school, and you drive your kid there, and your kid cuts Sunday school, sneaks out the back.
Get kicked out of that too.
Right.
I don't know.
The Sunday school would call their parents and tell them that you're being a little jerk here at Sunday school, but that wouldn't involve truancy or the state. Sure, the school is going to say, what the hell are you bringing your kid here for? You're just wasting our time, and we're going to kick him out, right? So that would be the relationship I would aim for, right? So I'm not sure that we can get to a place where, and schools are terrified of if the kids are only doing orchestra or only doing Latin or only doing computer programming or art or whatever the fun stuff is that they like, no one's going to science class anymore or whatever it is they don't like, that they're going to run around the school and cause trouble, right? Or they're going to hang out in the cafeteria, they're going to have sex in the bathrooms or whatever they're going to do, right? And we don't have those problems in North Carolina. I don't think it's valid. I don't think it's a real life.
So you don't ever have a problem with like kids who were problem kids in school and they come and they're hanging out and they like do drugs or something?
Do we ever have that problem? Sometimes. But we tell them they can't be at North Star High. They can't be having drugs.
If you do that, you can't do that. That's what they do.
You can't be here. If you value being here, then leave. Go do your drugs at the public park. I don't care where you do your public drugs, but don't do them on my turf.
You see a limit to the number of students North Star can handle, right? And it's right. You couldn't have everyone just decide to come to North Star. There'd be a limit before you'd have to have another North Star.
Right. Sure.
So there's some kind of capacity where this model is more effective than other size-wise, right? A certain number of students, like I talked, Josiah said too that he doesn't.
But we're talking about
see-
gymnasiums. You're talking about auditoriums and theater props, and you're talking about
Community
instruments.
Community too.
You know what?
Relationships.
Maybe public schools are too big a community for a lot of kids. I'm not sure what the ideal number would be, but when we talk about public resources, right? I mean, a lot of schools have dark rooms and all kinds of awesome stuff, right? And sometimes they actually hire people who know what they're doing, who are good at this stuff, who certainly got into the careers of teaching for good reasons, and they're being publicly paid, and if you took them off all the harsh enforcement crap that they're supposed to do, and just let them do the thing they love, and the kids want to be with them, it'd be like camp, right? Like, what the hell? It's like, that's complicated, right? Let the theater teacher only do the stuff for the theater kids who want to come to it, right? Trust that people will, experiment. So
Wouldn't that be awesome to replicate North Star in every community, in every state?
Yeah, but so part of this thing is that I think because I despair that replicating North Star in every community is plausible, I think this is actually easier.
Oh, it is, sure. But then, have you ever talked to a representative about compulsory education? I have. It wasn't nice.
I know, this is dead end too. I have one other backup plan the big dream though would be just make schools like secondary schools at least, like community colleges that have all these resources. People can pick and choose what they do, and maybe it's seniority to choose who gets which first. But whatever, we'll work it out. But just trust kids to choose their things. If they don't do everything the system wants, then they don't get the little stamp of approval. They have to look at the GEDs and leave them alone, and it's all fine and dandy. If they don't come at all, they don't come at all. That's fine too. And stop calling dropouts bad names, right? Okay. I still feel like this whole scheme is a little bit pie in the sky. So my backup plan, in terms of making school non-compulsory, is not even changing the laws. At least in Massachusetts, it's 16. I said 16 in most of the places where you live.
8 to 17.
Okay, for the sake of my thing, just live with me that where I was 16 and I thought it was 16 almost everywhere. Let's just say it's for the sake of imagining, right? What if school is just as it is? We totally lose on everything we do. But somehow we convince the people of the fact, the reality that we know is happening, that kids who don't go to school are fine with that, right? So at the end of compulsory schooling,
So they hit 16.
They They hit 16, they finish 10th grade, and the school principal, at the end of 10th grade, gets up on stage and says to everybody, thank you, you made it this far. All of you who wanted the conventional thing to get into Harvard and want to come here for 80 classes and everything else, come here for 2 more years. We got 2 more years for 11th and 12th grade. You know, it's free and with the yellow bus, and you come here and do the 11th, 12th grade with us. Plan A, right? All you other kids were sick of us and don't want to come here anymore. It's been nice knowing you. And with no judgment and no discouragement and no scoldingness, if you would like to get on with your life and do part-time community college and have a job and whatnot, there's this GED thing, you can take it, it'll work for you, and go down the hall, they'll help you sign up for it, and it's been nice knowing you, go have a life, compulsory schooling's over, we're no longer under an obligation, just thank you very much, bye. In a totally non-judgmental way.
Well, you just took away their funding for 2 grades.
Yes.
How do you get them to agree with it? That's why they harass homeschoolers. They're going to lose funding.
So that already exists, except nobody's saying it, right? That already exists, that when they turn that age, like everybody could, right? So no one's giving that speech.
No one's giving the speech, but people are doing it. People are inadvertently, one at a time, figuring that out for themselves and doing it without North Stars, right? And North Stars are making a living at it. Like, that's what we do.
Yeah.
You know, if you're out, we just keep you out. You know, don't go back now. Stuff.
What are the challenges you face when you try to replicate North Star?
Money.
Okay.
Paying people to work out.
So here's some thought that I had, right? And this, I'm basing this a little bit off the town I grew up in. You had elementary schools all over the place in Weathersfield, Connecticut, right? So a bunch of elementary schools. The middle school is across the street from the library. The high school is 2 blocks away from there. So you've got these buildings that have students, and you got the teachers, administrators, all the bullshit. And you have transportation that takes people to these buildings.
Right.
You also have the library, which is empty all day.
Right.
So if you need a building and you need to get people to it, because it's nice to have people assemble, and the building's cool, you could have these students that are taking the bus and going to school say, you know what, I'm going to get off the bus and I'm going to walk over to the library, and then from like this grassroots way say, this library is now our North Star. You know, we don't have teachers, all right, we're going to take the initiative and call some people in the community that will maybe come in. Will it be as good as North Star?
Sure.
Probably not as good, but it's this thing that can grassroots itself. So instead of needing to have Ken, which takes a shitload of your time and effort to build a North Star. I know they have like the ALCs trying to do the handbook and the start, but I think there's got to be a way that you can use existing infrastructure to reduce the barrier.
Right. I think it's exactly what we're talking about. And I would go so far to address your question about, in theory, let's say the library is a non-judgmental, optional program with, you know, librarian types, right, who are coaching kids and also trying to help kids find jobs, right? Some of the teachers who are no longer needed at the current high school because, you know, whatever percentage of kids stop going can be hired to do the thing over at the library, right? In theory, some of them. There can be some attrition. It doesn't mean that many jobs lost. The teachers union for once to calm down, maybe reference they're not going to do. I know I was a member of the teachers union, but
they'll lose money for their football programs, and how will they spend $1,000 on football?
well, I can use the local money, yeah, you know, but funding can be adjusted, but yes, that is really the problem. But that is really, but the benefit of it is they wouldn't have to have all the hoodlum counselors and all the punishment and all the detention supervisors for all the hoodlum kids who want to be there, right? And all the effort going to the. I don't mean the special needs people who need special needs and want resources, but I mean the hoodlum kids who are wasting everybody's time and trying to corrupt the system and slow everything down. If you let them not come, you don't need to attend to them, right? You just solve a whole bunch of.
But aren't most teachers on salary?
Yeah.
So they're anyways not getting paid by the hour. If they're watching detention or they're teaching a class or they're leaving at 3 instead of 4, they're getting paid salary. So it's the school board.
You trans up
doesn't care how long they're there.
Assuming teachers were paid the same, they'd love this. It helps teachers.
Well,
as long as they're not losing.
My lovely scheme would result in some teachers not being needed. There would be a handful of teachers, fewer teachers needed.
So you get a pay cut and get fired. The idea that their kids actually want to be there, they love that.
But okay, so what we want to do. Where I live, homeschoolers are not allowed to ride the yellow bus. It would be nice.
If you're not attending the school, you can't take the bus because that's state funded, right?
But that's a stroke of a pen too. You could call homeschoolers school kids, some of them ride the damn yellow bus. You know, it only runs once a day each way. You aren't going to, I'm not asking for special extra rides for them, so if they don't want to get up early, they're going to use the bus. But maybe, you know, it helped. A lot of people are stranded, right? One of the problems with homeschooling, especially in rural areas, is transportation. It's a huge problem, right? And even though we know, you know, so if you could gather everybody, people can use the buses, right? And then you just have one wing of the school or the library or some other place that is like North Star. Problem, where the adults simply said, we get it, you win, you don't have to be here, and we're only going to do it if we want to be here. That's the thing that has to switch, right? And so if you don't want to be in the graded standard program that Harvard uses to accept people and you want to do the other thing, I mean, I don't think people know that like Harvard itself has a community extension program at Harvard University that homeschoolers do in Cambridge and they go to Harvard classes.
So this would be a state law, right? This would have to be done on a state-by-state basis, the compulsory thing. So then you got, so the way I kind of look at things is the smaller the base, the easier it is to make something change. So like to pass a federal law, like, oh my God, we got to get all these people. To pass a state law a little less. A town could maybe get enough people. Like if some towns are very dense with parents because they like the school. Like so you might have a place where there's tons of parents that might buy into it. On a state-by-state basis, it might be hard to get the enthusiasm, the energy of people. Think about like one school, right? So think about if you had one school where you convinced the students, or I should say gave them the idea and awareness that they could go to the library instead.
Yep.
And then you had enough students say, screw this, we're going over here. And I don't know if they're breaking the law. Like, I don't know. If you're underage and you break the law, it turns out there's not that much real long-term consequence for breaking the law when you're 16.
Yeah, let me pivot at two places. One is, back in the 1970s, there were school within schools that were like separate schools, and you know, the alternative school movements, the free schools, you know, the upstairs attic for the little kids in the 1970s, right? The loser kids. And they went up there with one staff member and hung out all day. And
the opportunity room.
Yeah. Though the heyday of that kind of thing is come and gone with modern day testing, that's unlikely to reappear, but that could reappear. A school could reinvent, could bring back the open-ended hippie programs from the 1960s and 70s, right? Why not? Call it school, you know, in the public school, use the whatever, certain wing, but you know, they have to come every day in attendance, but while they're there, they can do whatever the hell they want, who knows, right? But the other states are experimenting in other ways, and I don't know much about it. I heard this at the Aero conference last year, and I sort of followed up on it, but it was a little too obscure for me. But this woman was very convincing from Michigan, and said in Michigan allows for public schools to count students as part-time students. So in Michigan, they take some of these abandoned, closed down, old elementary school buildings, and they offer them to the homeschooling community, who arranges to have a certified, unionized teacher offer certain classes to anybody who wants to come take them. Of course, school kids can't come because they're fully engaged in school at the time. But if the homeschoolers come for English or for art or for billiards or whatever it is that they're doing in this program, and the kid comes for however many days per week and whatever, you just multiply it per kid per hour so that if they come 10% of what a regular school kid does in the main program, but 10 kids do that, it counts as one full kid, right? And then if you get 20 kids to do quarter time, it counts as 5 kids, whatever, right? And ultimately, the school gets to count that group of kids and add it to their state reimbursement bill, and Michigan's paying. So, and then Michigan pays it to the town, which uses it to pay the teachers that the school has hired, or pay the utility. But of course, the state's reimbursing more than the program costs for the salary and the closed down building, so the town is clearing money off this deal, right? So you count, say you get the equivalent of 10 full-time kids going to classes in the homeschooling program, and it's $5,000 kid, that's $50,000, but you're only paying $20,000 for the teacher, for people to be there, and $5,000 for utilities, and then the main program keeps $25,000 off the top, right? happening apparently. That's not, so I don't know if we can expand that. That's another, like, this is a back end way.
You know about the Nevada thing that John trusts a lot?
Yeah.
I was talking to him a bit, and he told me that in Nevada, I guess there's some thing that they're passing which would say that if you take your kid out of the school system and homeschool them, that then you get money to spend on different
I get
resources.
$800.
They're talking thousands.
That's my
for these
school board
kids,
gets
yeah.
$1,600. I know in Alaska, my friend gets $1,200 a year for each child, which is two, something like that.
And she can do anything, she get a check, or does she, have...
She gets a check. I have to submit receipts, so I buy books, submit my receipts, return the books, keep the cash.
You can hire a tutor, could you buy a, like, environmental ed class or something like that?
Sorry?
Could you buy an environmental ed program?
Absolutely. The only catch is it has to be purchase numbered. I bought a computer the last 2 years.
San Diego has at least 5 years ago, I know they had this thing where if you enrolled your kid into a homeschool charter, then what you would get is like, call it enrichment units or enrichment dollars. Basically, you get a budget of like $200 a month, and you can spend that money at vendors that were approved. So if you want to go to karate class and that guy registered his karate school with the program, then you can spend the money there. If you go to math degree, there was some flow.
Have you met John Trostbach?
Yeah. When I was a couple times.
Alright, so
yeah.
he's a crummy. He's on the North Star board. He's on North Star All-Star. So, number one is a small issue whether North Star would qualify as a vendor in the Nevada rules. It probably would, but maybe not. I'm not sure that it would, because you have to be a certified teacher and all the other crappy things to be certified for reimbursement. But amusingly enough, the Nevada thing is only for people who can quit school. You have to be enrolled in school and quit to get this money. If you're already in homeschool, you don't get this money.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
And it's also already been deemed unconstitutional. It's in the courts. You say it's about to be passed. It was
He gave me
passed.
the impression that it was like maybe as soon as January.
Yeah, he's full of shit.
Maybe he's over
He's
optimistic.
over-optimistic. It's not going to pass. It's in the courts. I don't believe the courts are going to approve it. Because it's going to allow for religious families to buy, Christian doctrine with it. It's not going to fly. You're not going to give public money to every homeschooling family to buy $5,000 worth of, or to turn it over to they can also turn it over to any private school. So that would be, if you want to enroll your kid at for the sake of being non-Christian, the Christian Academy down the road, you get your $5,000 and it goes straight to the Christian Academy, or that would be Muslim Academy, that would be even better than it already is that. We're not going to start giving vouchers for families to turn it into religious private schools. Catholics might like it. We might not object to Catholics because we're used to local schools more than we're used to the other schools. So it's not going to. I don't see. I personally, I'm nobody's like John.
Well, church and state is already blurred. That would be crossing some serious lines to go that far.
So what's the challenge that you see? So let's say the kids take the bus. They get off the bus, they go to the library instead and start to kind of build their own North Star.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with that?
Nothing. Like kids, but they're not allowed to ride the bus right now. This is right now.
I don't know, I'm just like,
Right.
so then maybe that's...
One thing is that right now in Massachusetts, in my town, I think this might be town by town, I don't know, state by state. Let the damn homeschoolers ride the damn buses.
You mean the city buses or the
school
yellow
buses?
school bus?
No, they ride
To go to school?
right now.
I mean, sometimes some schools are out in the middle of nowhere. My kids will not go to the.
Okay, well, we live the opposite. The kids live where I live, it's rural. The kids live in the middle of nowhere, and school's in the center of town, which connects to all the town buses, which kids do ride out. Right?
So similar idea. So you're thinking that if this model I described, kids start doing it, they'll say you can't take the bus no more.
No, they can't yet. I wish they could.
They can't yet.
That'd be a grand addition for a very useful, free, no cost money thing. Anybody who has a homeschooling plan on file that's approved counts as a school bus eligible kid, as if they were coming to school. They can only get on the bus at their house on the way they would have if they were really coming to regular school. The bus is only going once a day.
Who stops them from getting on the bus?
The bus driver. I mean, they're not allowed. This is just not allowed.
There's huge liability issues.
Yeah.
Right, so it's a liability thing, but that's a solvable problem. If the school would just count the homeschoolers as somehow the category.
They'd have to get some payout for it. What's the motivation for a school to have a child at
So-
school if he's not?
So, you know, we have to have the state recognize that approved homeschoolers count as 1/10 of whatever, and the reimbursement goes enough so that it covers the liability for the darn bus ride, right?
What about the flip then? What if the kid never legally becomes homeschooled? He's legally a student at the school, he takes the bus, he goes there, and he says, I'm not going in the building, he goes across the street.
He's no longer a student.
So he's
Well,
truant enough days that then he gets expelled?
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to get past. I want to transcend all the truancy issues, right?
Yeah.
Because that's not stable. That's not a long-term solution. Letting just like okay, right now, homeschoolers can play sports. If you're homeschooling and you go Massachusetts again, right? So we've had kids be soccer captains, and you know, people like them. They're nice, you know. So if you can play sports and you can actually go into the public school library and take out books from the public school library, can't riding the yellow bus be like one of those things? If you can ride the yellow bus to and from your sports team
What would be
events
the
with it,
purpose of why would you?
just transportation makes homeschooling more appealing.
So that you can take a bus to school?
Because if your parents are working and there is a library North Star thing that you can go to,
But
the-
so when they need to take a bus to the library and not to school?
Well, presumably the school is the drop-off, and then they can walk
it just presumes the school is near the.
Well, that would just depend on geography. I'm thinking of like the
Right.
school in my district, they would have a long
Yeah,
library.
that would work for town I'm from.
And
The
you-
city, I'm.
Alright. But the school is in Timbuktu, it doesn't help you, right? But we're talking about schools where the school is.
So some things are coming up, so I know this is like a little far out, but as of next year, there's going to be some driverless cars
Right.
owned by Uber.
Right.
And, you know, whatever
Who's
you
gonna pay
call
for
it,
that?
there's going to be, someone has to pay for it, right, but there's some kind of transportation that's going around there.
So
I thought, what if you get like senior citizens in the area to drive the kids around? What if there's some way that you get people to volunteer to help out, or
They
maybe the kids that are
volunteer
16, 17, 18-year-olds, they get cars maybe and they can pick people up.
You need to have the communities like the kids.
So,
Like, I worked at a library once who, the librarian asked me if you have any ideas, let me know. And I said, well, my daughter was a teenager at the time, she likes manga, why don't we get some of that? And she said, no, the school board doesn't want to encourage teens to come to our library, so they don't want.
I just keep thinking like that.
Because there was like a billiard hall across the street, and one time, sometimes
One of
those
them's
people
gonna volunteer
over
in
crosswalks
pieces.
trouble with
Pieces
the
in
library.
elementary school teaching.
They don't want teens.
Oh, what
They
if
like
that's
when
great?
they're little,
But-
they like when they're adults, but no teens. So where would those kids go in town? They go to the billiard.
So, alright. So I'm making one minor advancement from this. However silly this conversation is or unguided it is, it's helpful because I think what it gets at is the thing that you're getting from your state matters, right? Allowing a local district to tell the state we have 50 homeschoolers in our system that we know about, right? And rather than getting zero reimbursement dollars from them because we've asked them to file plans and we're loosely keeping an eye on them because they're closer to schooling age and we're the bottom line that they're not being abandoned or neglected. You should give us, $1,000 a kid or 20% of what the normal reimbursement is from the state. That homeschoolers, the school system should get some money per homeschooler in their district, even if it's less than what a school attending kid is.
In my province, I have my own school board that I'm registered with. They have an office on the third floor of a building in a town that I'm half an hour from. So I have a school board. It has no connection to a physical school. I'm just registered with them. They get money from the government because I'm registered there, and then they give me money. They offer some forms of outreach hands. They don't put together classes. They don't do busing. They don't do any of that. But they might say there's this course available if you want to take it. But it's mostly just money and a governing body to report us to the government and then back.
And they keep a portion of the money that comes to them in your name.
Yep, that's how they get funded.
So they get half and half or whatever.
Yeah, half for what I'm registered as a traditional schooling family, which means that we're unschoolers. So we get the largest portion. If you're registered as what's called aligned or blended, which means you follow our provincial curriculum, you don't get anything because that funding comes to the school. They've recently exchanged everything. Instead of the school used to give the family like $200 or $300 per student, they now keep it all, and that funding goes to books, and then they give you books.
So, but if there was enough flow in this system, that's not the $5,000 or $10,000 per kid that comes from the state for the mainstream school kids, right? It's just half of that, and the school could then justify letting these people ride the yellow bus and having some guidance counselors here and there to answer questions or offer things for these people, right? And maybe even giving them a stupid empty wing or a couple of rooms of the building, or the public building owned by the town across the way and that, right? The solution would be like let the light shine. Is at least partial reimbursement from the state to a public school system, not in the form of vouchers to the people who are going to spend it on the religious front. That's going to get church and state involved. But if you file a homeschooling plan with the state or file a registration and you tell them what you're doing and tell them you did it and they check you off and they go upstream, the school gets money for completing that process with you. Some of which they share in the form of services for you that are available to you.
And the rest of them don't share is their payment for doing so.
Right. And then that's their incentive for dealing with this, right? But by not giving you the cash, we're avoiding the Nevada Supreme Court problems of families pocketing the money and spending.
That's why ours requires receipts.
But if we're not giving you cash, but instead we're giving you services, we're giving you access to the building, we're going to give you...
It's really hard to turn that into tangible though in terms of where the government's current is concerned. They like definite numbers and the tangible, right?
Let's say that...
It would have to become a very business-like transaction to that extent.
I'm so after what's the least way to help the most kids get out of school.
Promote unschooling.
But to promote unschooling also means unschooling isn't helping a lot of teenagers who choose unschooling to go back to high school, right? Because their parents are intimidated or the kids socially want,
So, I would be more inclined to help that side of things though versus, my arm to help would go more towards let's help the resources for unschooling so that we can figure out how to do it at home so we can create dance classes amongst the unschoolers rather than how can we find money and resources to create a building so you can send your kids here anyways.
Because they already have it now. All you have to do is file the affidavit or whatever you need to do in your school, and boom, your kid doesn't have to go to school anymore. So it lies in the hands of the parents.
Yeah, and educating the parents and helping the parents and helping them with the resources.
Right. And let's get into tomorrow. What do most parents need to make that real? Because
that's something I've been thinking a lot about and working on is the idea of, is there a way to connect the students and get them to, call it a social network for lack thereof, to students are now engaging online. Doesn't mean they're on the computer all day, but they're sharing ideas, they're sharing their work, they're showing things off, and now you can see it. It's like a real thing. Like, what do you do with unschooling? What goes on? But you can actually see it and breathe it. Other people can look in and say, oh, I want that.
So I hear, this is where I think there's a problem with that, is having you say that out loud. Part of the principle of unschooling is that it's not a tangible, this is what I learned.
Exactly.
So how am I going to take a photo and be like, this is what my son learned today?
We had a conversation today.
It's not tangible. I don't care what he learned today because I know he's learning and I'm happy with that. And that's what unschooling is getting towards. We don't measure, we don't go, these are the boxes we checked today, we went, they learned. Because they woke up, they looked at the sky, they went, the sky is blue, they walked down the street, that's great for us. That's the premise of that philosophy.
I get what you're saying. I don't necessarily mean the idea of here's what I learned today, but just coming up with the idea of people sharing ideas about cool things they do. There's a simple example, I guess, that someone gave me someone came over to fix the heating and air conditioning, and the kid said, hey, do you mind if I follow you around all day? So the guy's like, yeah, sure. So this kid fell asleep.
My answer to that? Facebook. Yeah, you can find anything on YouTube. You know how Seth knows all that
No, I
stuff?
don't mean
It's
that I want to learn about heating and air conditioning. I can go on YouTube and maybe watch that. But that idea of, hey, here's how I got a free day of
More like a
education.
job shadow
Like,
kind of thing.
But
Like,
there's
yeah,
something
like-
to market.
Here's how I learned a bunch of stuff. I went and followed somebody. That information is useful. Not necessarily like I'm going to teach all the stuff that God showed me, but just being able to say, hey, you know what you should do? You should go find somebody to job shadow. Hey, you know what you should do? You should go
So there's
here.
a job or an idea for some sort of blog network that can eventually turn into a passion that shares things with people.
It's called a blog network, if you will. Yeah.
Like, but you're gonna essentially with my living cheap. I'm gonna talk about how I live cheap and find deals and whatever. And eventually, at some point, that's gonna connect people in.
So
and help
imagine
them to
if
some extent.
you and 100 other people had similar blogs about different aspects. You can submit your post to one site, and people are voting on which ones they like and relevant to share. You know, kind of like Reddit.
But
you can see it.
this is all very exciting and cool, but I'm less interested in getting all the homeschoolers and unschoolers to convince the mainstream that they're learning shit, because it just puts pressure on the non-outcome kids to produce outcomes that they don't have.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
And so, what I really want is for the truant kids to not get in trouble for being truant. I want to get rid of truancy. I want to get rid of legal state punishment.
And in some states, they're already on that. Some states, you just don't go to school.
Well, in Massachusetts, there's actually no fine and jail time. The only thing that there is DSS and foster care.
You know, I was on an unschool in Northern Town, and people were giving me advice, and they said, well, tell your kids just homeschool if you want to, and when you don't want to go, don't go. And I'm like, whoa, fine, don't do that. But in some states, it's not.
Every state's different.
So,
Yeah, children and youth or DSL, as you call them in your state, that's the other thing. They can physically force a kid.
but it's pretty extreme, right? I mean, most run-of-the-mill truant cases aren't going to end up in foster care because there's not enough truant beds. And when a two-parent family of a resistant kid shows up to the social worker and says, "We love our kid, it's all good, it's in school," it's not going to be a foster care outcome. It's a foster care outcome is a single parent who's a little ditzy, who tries to do this miserable, dysfunctional human being who can't get their kid out of school anyway. That kid might end up in foster care. But it's of all the truant kids, like 1 out of 50 is going to end up in foster care. I don't have foster care beds for everybody to go.
So
The fake, the false.
numbers thing. If enough people are truant, they can't handle it. Like, so I mentioned the civil rights movement earlier. Part of the idea of the civil rights movement was send us all to jail. You'll run out of space in jail.
Right.
To put us into, you can't do it. So if you had a whole school of kids that said, we refuse to participate in this
Yeah,
charade.
but I want to short circuit that because
Where are you gonna? Where's the short circuit to that? Like, it seems like the kids would be the easiest group to target to create that revolution.
If-
The state doesn't care.
no, I just want to have so when all the kids are truant and the school fails them, and
It'll never happen. Do you know you can't fail in Canada? There is no such thing as a failure.
Wait.
well,
You guys are
try
so
to
nice.
No, but like, legit. It's like actually a thing. Like,
Right. So in the United States,
weird.
people need to understand that if they don't graduate from high school, it doesn't actually matter. Because schools can win at ultimately withholding diplomas for kids who don't do what they're supposed to do, right? Truancy or no truancy, the school's going to withhold the diploma, and kids think they can't get jobs or go to college anymore.
But I think that's an error then, is what the parents are teaching. and the state is teaching.
So if we tell people, you don't need the high school diploma, just don't worry about the damn high school diploma. Don't get a high school diploma, and if you need a legal document or something, get the GED later on when you're 16. So just stop going to school, file homeschooling papers till then. When homeschooling, compulsory schooling stops, you don't have to file homeschooling papers anymore. Just don't go. You don't have to go to you don't have to get all the fuss and bother with truancy about it. File homeschooling papers, and get your GED, and stop worrying about a damn diploma. If you're not afraid of not getting a diploma, school has nothing over you. And that's what I mean short circuit. I mean, don't even get into the truancy
Because then you've already got the model you have now.
Right.
That's
But it's already legal. It's already available. It saves a lot of trouble, right? Just don't be afraid of not having a diploma. Stop wanting the diploma.
That's some pretty deep-rooted stuff to get people to change.
But
you don't have to change the law.
That's what I do every day. I mean, I do that every day.
To change the law,
That's what for 20. You don't need a diploma. Stop wanting a diploma, and your life will be much better. I can do that. I succeed at, right?
On a large scale.
No.
I believe
A law change requires
it's a fact.
the masses to agree with it. What he's doing, that only requires the people who it affects to participate. That's easier than getting a law change.
I say you can still get into Harvard, and you can still get into UMass, and you can still get into SUNY or wherever you go, or Penn State without a stupid high school diploma. So stop wanting the dumb high school diploma that can get you anything. Just try to live without one.
Can't get a state grant. Can't get state loans.
We get a GED. And you with a GED, you can't? I don't believe you. Yeah, I'm sure you can.
But that way is easier because for a law to pass, think about it, you've got to convince and influence so many people that it's not relevant to. That's hard. You know what I mean? Like it's not that you have to convince a lot of people that don't even have children and not like that don't care. I mean they care, but to convince them that they don't need the diploma and stuff, all you have to do is focus on the people that it's relevant to. And that's better.
So, but the problem with that is that doesn't help. That helps everybody who's over 16. Back to my 10th grade, just leave scheme. But it doesn't help anybody who's under 16 unless they have parents who will file homeschooling papers and if the kid has an active place to go in a life to create. If you are living rurally with a single parent or 2 working parents and the creation of an unschooling, that brings us to tomorrow's conversation, but just because you could file a homeschooling paper and be legal and simple, now that you're pressed on just out of school and don't have to go, where does that leave you? It leaves you home alone stuck, right? That's not progress, right?
What if you're 9 and there's no compulsory school? You're 8. What do you picture when you're 9?
Well, if you're 8 or 9 and you don't have parents at home and homeschooling is not going to be a very good option for you, you choose to keep compulsory schooling. Doesn't mean abolish the school, it means leave the damn school where it is. So those people can still go to school.
So school,
you're shit out of luck, kid. You gotta go to school because your parents can't, unless you parents can arrange something, you gotta go to school because it's gonna be a more interesting life for you than hope. But hopefully, by not being compulsory, schools will have to try a little harder to get kids to want to come and be nicer and more humane, and the whole system will soften and it'll be more appealing. And but the 8-year-old kid who can't homeschool should go to school then. But your school should be. But not in trouble, not from a legal standpoint, but because society offers it and it's free.
So the process you have to go through to get that law passed would probably, that process, in order to pull that off, part of that would be that people would be educated about the idea that you don't need the diploma to go to college. So in order to do that, you'd end up doing that other one too. Sure. You got a lot of work ahead of you. Like that would be a piece of it. Because I just wonder if all of a sudden we would snap our fingers and tomorrow that law was changed, how much would really change?
Right.
If we had a huge movement.
That's a good question. So if we just announce, if where we're sitting in New York right now?
Yeah.
Who's governor? Cuomo. If Cuomo announced that he and the legislature passed the law rescinding compulsory schooling attendance in New York, so tomorrow anybody who doesn't go to school won't be in trouble with the state. You can still be in trouble with school of not getting credit. You can still be in trouble of getting a bad grade, not getting makeup work for your effort.
No police.
Right. Where there's no state and there's no social worker, DSS coming on your case for not going to school, your parents won't get in trouble, right? So go to school if you want. It's a free resource available to everybody who wants it. But anybody who doesn't want it doesn't have to go. What would happen? You think a lot would not go?
I don't know if that much would change. I mean, it's a really good question. I don't know if the problems that exist. I think compulsory schooling is part of the issue.
And keep going with this.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm not sure I agree automatically. We think a lot wouldn't go, but I
think most kids keep going.
I think most will keep going, but I don't know. And while we're at it, because you don't have to go tomorrow, if you're an asshole at school, instead of giving you suspension or detention, the school system will show you the door, and you get to sit on the front lawn and wait till 3 o'clock for the bus.
So they can kick you out?
Yeah. You can't be a jerk in school anymore.
Shit, I wouldn't get kicked out.
Right? So if you don't want to go to school, you don't have to come. And if you choose to go to school, school doesn't have to deal with you if you're a jerk.
A college professor can kick you out of the classroom if you're a jerk, right?
The library can kick you out. The movie theater can kick you out. But the library can stay your position. But right? So so now you and your antics, in theory, we're trusting the school not to be racist jerks to kids they don't like personally, but to save it for the
Teachers have that judgment call now.
Seriously disruptive kids. I mean, when I was a teacher, I had some pretty disruptive kids who were trying to stop me from teaching. Not kids who just were sleeping in the back of the room, but the kids who were, deliberately sabotaging the day, right? Plus vandalizing the building and whatnot.
Plus, if schools are compulsory, you could start offering things in addition. You don't have to just have history and math. You can have, your rock bands and your whatever they're into. You can have Pokemon Go or something for an hour, and they can go and do that.
Well, but that's getting the curriculum though. Wait a minute. We're still offering diplomas, and we're still offering the state requirements for diploma would still be what they are. Right? When you just jump ship on me. But you jumped ahead. You jumped, to the future. I was still on tomorrow. You got to next week on that one. So if school were optional, legally, so no one has to go. But also, if you say we don't really want a day-to-day choice. Every day, you go Monday, you don't go Tuesday, you go Wednesday, you're not in trouble. Either you sign up and go to school for the year, or you don't sign up and you don't go. You can't have this anarchy and chaos of randomly showing up once in a while. Hi, I'm here today. That's not cool, right?
See, here's why I like the idea of the online thing where you can see what's happening. Is if you think of some countries that have lived in the Stone Age for a long time and they were oppressed and really shitty cultures, and then all of a sudden some of these people start getting the internet. And they're like, wait a minute, look at what's going on in all these other countries. These people have democracy, or what appears to be democracy. All of a sudden they're looking around and kind of seeing what other people have access to. And they're like, well, we want that. And in some of those places they may have these revolutions where people say, no, we want to make our own decisions. We want that opportunity to make our own decisions. And they have these they have these little revolutions, where these things go on.
I think the objection you would get from unschoolers is that might harm the purity of unschooling.
We're not forcing anyone to do anything. It's not forced by any means. No one's telling anyone they have to do something.
The idea that unschoolers have projects that they complete that they have to show.
Right.
Unschooling isn't really about projects.
That's what I'm saying. I don't keep a checklist. Day, week, month, year, 10 years. I don't care what you learn. I have no end goal. I have no ulterior motive. I have nothing. He's learning day in and day out.
But at the same time,
it's awesome. And there's no way I ever.
But there's some kids that want to be and already are kind of being YouTube stars and stuff. But there's already some people doing what I'm describing. There's some of them already doing
but we're
it.
not framing it as an unschooling achievement or an achievement itself. It's just this is what they do. That's cool.
In North Star, we tell parents what groups the kids are coming to, but we're not promising and we're not giving credits and we're not selling that we're getting kids to learn stuff here.
But at the same time,
That's not the goal. I wouldn't want that relationship. We wouldn't do that.
if you're marketing, homeschoolers and people who want to be homeschoolers can go seek out all the blogs and the Facebooks and everything.
Google
To have a thing that you're kind of marketing to all parents, saying, hey, your kid doesn't have to go to school, here's an alternative. I can see value in that.
Or the hub, you're talking about, okay, let's pull together furnace servicing, learning to play the guitar. This website teaches how to build drywall, whatever. And you've gone out and found these 45 different sites that all kind of teach a skill. And instead of pulling it together and putting it on your website saying, look, this is unschooling, or this is a resource for you, this is just, you can pull it all together and go, this is cool. Look what I found. Not this is unschooling, or this is education, or this is a
We don't-
quantifiable learning, it's just.
But this is what kids are doing instead of going to school.
Well, we don't have school kids sharing their school projects in public for the most. I mean, I don't want to know all the school kids.
I don't want it to be excluded. That's one trouble I have with the unschooling law. It feels like it excludes people. Like I talked to Sienna Wildfield. Is that her name? Sienna?
Yeah.
There's a Hilltown Families.
Yeah, her kids don't work.
Yeah, and she mentioned to me the idea of Hilltown Families is that they don't want to give the impression that this is like just for homeschool kids. They want it to be inclusive. Like this is community-based education. Anyone can be a part of this. It might be that a lot of homeschoolers do, but that it's
Right, but they have a lot of activities that are on the weekends or at night or after school or whatever. Right?
Yeah, and then like it's anyone can be a part of it. And
But
I like that.
if you away from the idea that you need to say there needs to be something compulsory to make kids learn, and you want to stick to the philosophy of
But-
the kids don't need to be made do things.
But and that's back up wasn't for me the compulsory is attendance, not learning. Schools aren't compulsory learning. You can go with F's. They don't care if you can learn or not.
Right.
You can learn and not go when you're in trouble. Because if you pass the test but then you say, hey, I'm smart pants, I know all my stuff for this year, I'm done with 6th grade, I'm not coming anymore, you get in big trouble. Don't go about it's not compulsory learning, it's compulsory attendance.
Right. Well, you wouldn't want kids to have to prove that they're learning enough either in order to do this.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So
100%.
isn't that the objective of the diploma, is proof that they've learned enough to receive this
No, well, that's all I'm talking.
sheet of paper?
I think we should adjourn here for a moment. I think the compulsory thing that I want to get rid of is attendance. Is that we don't want compulsory attendance at church. And, but I think the incentive that's what I'm taking away from this is that trying to get local systems reimbursed some money for the homeschoolers in their district might be a way to split the difference here. But,
So when you start coaching lawmakers,
alright.
Rita, what are you looking for?
Well, we'll go into making it accessible for everyone tomorrow. That's how everyone will be.
That'd be cool.
Alright, well, thank you guys. That's